Hello friends, you are on the channel in the process. We continue to go around different productions to talk to their owners, to tell you how all of that works. Today we have arrived at a very interesting enterprise. It's difficult to call it production, pure production. It is rather a design and technological bureau. I'd rather call it like that. And currently, they don't yet have production areas. They are just being built. Behind me, we have arrived at the enterprise, which is called Sovelmash. Maybe many of you have heard about this enterprise. They produce a lot of content, they have several YouTube channels where they speak about all of it, and in the last 6 or 7 years, a lot of attention has been paid to them, especially in the light of how this project is being developed. It is being developed thanks to crowd investing. It is happening in Russia for the first time. Today we will speak to you about all of it in detail, and we will try to provide answers to many questions, including questions that you, our dear subscribers, you put under my publication. I hope that it will be interesting, it will be detailed, and, which is most important, it will be sincere and frank. We will not start here. We are now in the Special Economic Zone, Technopolis Elabusheva, where the Design and Technological Bureau Sovelmash is being built now. We will start in a different place, where currently Sovelmash is leasing their areas, and where they are running experiments, where they are creating the future, let's call it like that, the future of their technology, the future of their production, in the Institute of Precise Machine Building. Please subscribe to the channel, don't forget that it helps our promotion, and let's go! Imagine the following. All induction motors have disappeared. What will be in their place? Vapor machine, water well and mill, Stone Age straight away. It was written in a textbook that parallel connection of the star and the delta does not give any results. That's it. And we're still living like that, but it works. Siemens knows about it. IBB. Everyone knows about it, but then they would have to reset all their production. And then come to somebody and say, here is your money for the patent. People's project means that it is people's project. Alexander, what does Sovelmash produce? Nothing. Let's start with that. Thank you very much. Goodbye. See you soon. The point is the following. Sovelmash, first of all, develops induction electric motors, and it puts them into production. So yes, there is some production, but it is rather small series production, not mass production currently. That is the full cycle of interaction of the company and the business. It is when we develop the necessary motor for the client. It is when it is necessary we develop the controller. We create the drive, the traction drive for electric motors. Yes, for electric motors. Induction electric motors. Let's get to where we are and what is happening here in this particular lab. It is a very important place. It is the experiment pilot area, and prototypes are created here, the first specimens of motors that we will soon sell to someone, or not. You have the technology of induction motors that there is nowhere else in the world. Well, it's rather windings. Windings. So, you want to sell the possibility to a person to produce these motors with all the equipment. Yes. Why? Because as of today, according to Business Stat, it is a company that carries out statistical research. The world produces about 10 billion motors annually. The fleet of electric motors in the Russian Federation is 90% worn out. The fact that motors need to be replaced is evident. And now there is a serious trend towards creating energy-efficient solutions, E1, E2, E3, E4 classes. In Europe, there is already a prohibition to use motors which are lower than E3. In the Russian Federation, as of today, we don't have production of motors higher than E2 class. And in the Russian Federation, they want to introduce such limitation as well. So the whole fleet of motors is to be replaced. There are more than 10,000 types of motors. And here we need to understand that even a big company that has monopoly will not be able to saturate all the market being alone. If we build a production plant, it is a limitation. Because in this case, we're speaking about 2 or 3 sizes, different types of the motors, and we're limited by that. We cannot do anything else. And in our case, 10,000 types of motors which are to be redesigned and re-put in production. And we're not saying that Sovelmash will not do any production in the future. We're saying that we need to start with development, because it is as marginal a thing as possible. And it is very much in demand in terms of business. Can we take an example of a motor and show the difference of all the previous motors from this one, this double winding? Yes, we can. But our viewers, just like you and myself, will not understand anything and will not see anything, because visually the motor can remain just as it was. Copper here, copper there. And the difference is in connection. When we speak about classical ones, we say it is either the star or the delta. 2 types of windings, right? In Sovelmash case, we are using the technology of combined winding Slavanka, parallel connection of the star and the delta. We use 2 windings at the same time. And it gives better properties to the motor. Better power, energy efficiency, reliability, which is also very important. And what I'm saying is not something ephemeral. It has been confirmed by the good functioning of hundreds of motors and their potential. Can we show some graphs, some comparisons? Yes, we do have such graphs. We have protocols of trials which show the difference between different motors. Some of these materials are published on the website of the company, sovelmash.ru. We also have a reference book devoted to combined windings. You can acquire it. There are graphs, there are different materials. You can just take it and look at how it works. And we also have a forum of winders where winders themselves provide information on that. And when I was saying that there are hundreds of thousands of motors operating in the world, they're not just words. They are motors which have been wound by our winders. We have about 100 licensed winders who work with modernization potential. And when winders started to use our scheme, many entrepreneurs, those who tried it, are not now using the classical scheme because it saves them money. They reduce energy costs over the year, and entrepreneurs can spend this money on development or take this money as profit. Dmitry Alexandrovich, can you please tell about the technology itself, how it appeared, how it was invented? In 1906, it was said that there was the possibility of creating a motor which would have both windings, the star and the delta, the 2 sets. And over that time, very few successful designs have been created. One motor in the Urals, there was a winder, I still don't know his surname, he wound it, and then he showed it to the scientists who were there at that moment, Vlasov and Morozov. He attended it, and then Nikolai Yeloviga learned about that, and he tried to create his own motor. I learned it through the newspaper 41. I just read it on the train, then I came back, and I said, "Where is Yeloviga?" "He's there." We called each other, we met, and then it started to develop. I came back to my laboratory. I had a scientific center, which was called Quantum. In 1995, I wound the first motor, the first node of the water supply station in Stakhanov town. I installed it, and I think that it is still functioning there. And then it just started to develop. I started to prepare the plant, filtration equipment plant. I privatized it. I did that. Back in the day, I was head of the board. And then we started to produce the motors, modernized motors, for poultry farms, Chernohivska poultry farm, for example. We modernized a lot of motors there, and we saw a good effect in terms of saving the energy. And then it just started to develop. So you saw it without any measurements. We had counters to measure that. I mean, without any laboratory measurements. We did not have the laboratory to, measure mechanical characteristics to run serious experiments. No, because it was too expensive. But still, the guys and myself, we developed the casting component of it. And as for casting aluminium, we managed to reduce it from 37.5 kilowatt-hour to 2.5. That was quite a serious thing to do. And then we were working on squirrel cages, motors. That was a lengthy process. It wasn't a bed of roses. Okay, once again, for people who are watching it, who hear all of that for the first time. So there had been practical, well, maybe not experiments, but practical skills to create those windings. There had been theoretical ones. No, there hadn't been any theoretical studies. As for rules of creating windings, it is our patents, the principles of those windings. So you managed to do it, to make it, to repeat it, to reproduce it. Yes, and based on those principles, we patented the basic schemes. And then we used the method of sublimation and multiplication of those schemes, and we obtained hundreds of schemes, proven in work. Well, you may think that today I will ask very silly questions, but I will do it on purpose. For everyone to understand, for me to understand what is happening here, and for viewers who are far from this topic, to somehow get closer to it as well. Alexei, you are doing something with a lot of enthusiasm. What is your job here? I am operator of laser equipment in Sovelmash, and I have a lot of parallel tasks to solve as well. Winding, grooving of the electric motors. I help guys in the studio, taking part in exhibitions, Army 2022 for example. I've been there as well. I was there at the stand with the armored vehicle. For the armored vehicle to electrify that 8-wheel cart, small one, we acquired a donor, 2.2 kilowatt. Little motor, this is the reducer, this is the motor, 2.2 kilowatt. We rewound it, and now the capacity is 20 kilowatt. We put one on each wheel of the armored vehicle, so we put a pair like that, a motor and a reducer, and the torque was 1000 Newton-meter on the wheel, which is sufficient. And when we brought the armored vehicle to the exhibition, there were many such vehicles there, like number 82, and ours was, like pale and not very beautiful. And then I asked advice from the management, and in 15 minutes we removed that pair from the armored vehicle for people to see that it was electrified. And then people started to ask questions. And what was the effect? There were a lot of skeptical people. They were asking, why do you need electricity in military equipment? I was saying, okay, I will just provide you with 5 reasons, 5 answers why we need to electrify the vehicles, and you will subscribe to our YouTube channel for that. And they were saying, no, it's not possible. I said, okay, no noise. A stationary little power station, lowered infrared trace, maintenance characteristics. You just remove a reducer from the vehicle within 15 minutes. The electric motor, different properties which are proven. Explosion proof. We want to put a battery from mine electromotives. Many advantages. And the range from 800 to 3000, because the tanks are original. It will be a hybrid. There is already the electric station, it feeds the battery, and the battery feeds each wheel by its algorithm. And is recuperation possible? Of course. One of the subscribers wrote to us that recuperation is just lies, because there are no magnets. And how will that recuperation happen? Can you please tell us about that? You, as someone working with that, how will recuperation work? A standard version, in an induction motor, there are 3 windings, the delta and the star. So, if, for example, we take one phase of 6 and we supply battery tension from a little accumulator, then we remove tension from the other 5 phases. One phase will operate for magnetizing, and the rest of the system will recuperate the energy. And is it proven? It works. It works. Is it proven? Yes. In generators and windmills, all powerful electric windmills, they use induction motors. Can we speak about the field of application of induction motors? Of course. This field is very broad. All spheres of human activity. They are inflowing ventilation systems, pumps, which pump water, in multi-story buildings, in private houses, in plants. They are all induction motors. Lifts, they are also motioned by that. Loading equipment, cars, vehicles, they all use induction motors, sometimes more, sometimes less. Sometimes they are motors with permanent magnets. As of today, electric motors are the most necessary product for the humankind, something which makes our life as it is. Because if we remove not all, but only induction motors from human life, then we will find ourselves in the Stone Age. No water, no lifts, we have to walk up the stairs. For that we need to make stairs. To make stairs we need materials, mineral resources, we need some technological process to treat that, to process that, and we need motors for all of that. If we have no motors, we just take a stick, a rope, a stone, and here you go. Do you have a potential pool of customers? We don't do it that way. Like first you need to find a customer who will need that. Everyone needs it. If you decide to do it for oil industry, they will make you do such things, you will not even wish it to an enemy. Now several companies left Russia, those who make lifts. We're ready to offer a solution to them. Direct-driven lift hoists. And there are many companies like that. And the need in Moscow alone, just for replacement, is 153,000. Well, let's take 10,000 for easier calculations. 10,000. 250,000. This is the cost of one lift hoist. How much is it in money? 10,000. We'll write it. We'll write it. Subtitles. Not speaking about other things. And we don't have rare earth materials there. We don't have magnets. It is a cheap thing and reliable. One little important precision. You will not be the producer of everything that you are developing now, right? We will make technological equipment for production. We'll produce a pre-production batch. And then, if business wants it, then we'll make a project, we will build a plant, and then we will get money as output. But you will not produce it, because the range is huge. There are many, many types of motors, because otherwise you will have to build plants in every town. One life will not be enough for that. In the Soviet Union, plants produced electric machines. How many of them? Hundreds of them, huge amounts. And how many of them are there in the world? The Soviet Union held 52% of the market of electric motors, of electric machines. Now it is 0.01% or something. Sergey, hello. Engineer and designer of Sovelmash. We're in a laboratory, right? Where you design future automated line to produce motors. Automatic line, absolutely. We see prototypes. This is our first winding machine. It has already been modernized by us. It is part of automated machine to assemble a pack of stator, motor wheel, hoist, and other products. Based on that, we're trying to use the most modern technologies. One such controller can control a big technological line, automated line. And we were to learn that, to go to programming courses for us designers to understand that. It is one thing to design something, and it is another thing to understand how to unite all of that together. Because in automation there are many sensors, many motors, many cylinders. All of that is to work in a united way, in harmony. The controller is what? It is the Russian controller. A good controller. I can recommend it to everyone. Apart from the institute, the scientific institute, do you sell anything? Do you produce anything in a series, more or less? Well, we are now on a straight line. Before we launch series production of electric tools, the motor is small. It is a part of it. It is a rotor, quite small. They will now bring a stator to us as well. I will take it as well. This is Slavyanka. It looks small. This motor fits different equipment. In this case, we start with producing angle grinders. 230, a saw. It is an example. The casing has not yet been cast. It is our geometry. Let's use 20 words. We have been using additive technologies. Well, 3D printer, in simpler terms. The motor has been produced. The bearing, the head, the reducer, all of that is Chinese. From angle grinders, good companies. And now they will write again, why does Russia not have any bearings? Let them write it. I want to hear it as well. I want to hear the answer as well. Why are there no bearings? We would buy them. We have done that. Now we will test it. It is prototyping. This is the motor which was there. No. They did not bring us the right one. It is a motor from the trimming saw. It is our motor. And by size, this one replaces this one. And, what is interesting, our motor fits into both the angle grinder and the trimming saw and the vacuum cleaner and the high pressure cleaner. This motor can reach 2 kilowatt. What's the idea here? It is combined winding. The windings are combined, the motor is light, compact, and it is 600 Hz. It works inside the controller that has also been developed by us using our mathematical calculations, our technologies. Here we have standard material, which is meant for 50 Hz. If we increase the number of hertz in the classical scheme, then we say that we need to use expensive plates, thinner ones which are more difficult to produce, and of course they cost much more. We take standard material, and thanks to the technology of combined windings, we increase hertz. 600 hertz is a lot. And together with our partners in China, we are now launching these motors into series production. While we were talking, testing of our products continues in our laboratory, and as soon as we give them a sign, the process of producing starts, fittings and all the rest. Very often they ask us a question, why in China, why not here? Our facility, which is in 5 minutes from here, is not yet completed, but we need to start now. How will it happen? Will final assembly take place in China? At the current stage, in China they will do production, assembly, and will you provide them with the finished motors? No, we'll launch production there. We'll launch it there. Is it not? We have our representative here, who works there, who has been working there for many years. Will he hide it from the Chinese? We are working very closely with the Chinese. The company ASPP Weihai, the founder of which is Viktor Aristov, he is our partner. The government of China sees a lot of potential in our technology. They help us develop it. In Chinese universities, they already teach our technology. And I think that this interaction will surprise many participants of our project and the viewers who are following us. We're not speaking about taking something, copying it, and doing it by the same scheme. No, it is the technology which requires equipment and many other components. So collaboration is much more profitable here than just copying, right? Just cheating and copying. It won't work like that. They are deeper processes and they are mutually profitable. Sovelmash is the first company in the country that is built on the money of ordinary people. It's not even crowdfunding. crowd investing. Crowdfunding is just collective money for a project, and crowd investing, it is when, in exchange for the money invested, you guarantee shares, right? Shares of the enterprise. Not now, it is not a public company yet. No, not yet. But to make it a public company, we need to go through stages. There are material and non-material assets. They are to be created. They are to be that guarantee. They are to be used for the IPO process. We cannot just use cement or sand or the idea. We cannot go to IPO with that. However, material assets and intellectual assets, the ones that have a money equivalent, yes, we can go to IPO with them. We can issue shares for them. And prepaid investment shares, we can exchange them for real shares. This is our plan. You did not look for investors, 3 or 4 big ones. Who told you that, with big money? Or did you? Did you try? I did. I visited different organizations, development of innovations, support of business. I had a meeting with a representative of the International Monetary Fund and the Bank of Reconstruction and Development. And no one was interested in the technology. Why? It is a huge market. Who needs that? Only inventors need inventing. And consumers as well. No one else. And among those interested, maybe there were Western companies. And why would they need it? Siemens knows about it. IBB, ADB, everyone knows about it. They would need to reset their entire production. And then come to someone and say, here is the money for the patent. They will never do it. And forget it that someone needs something. Now, impasse technologies that were created at some stage that turned out not to be very effective, they tried to give them to third world countries, fools like us. And yes, they listen to you. Let's pay because they will bring it and provide a turnkey solution. Because it's not paying from your own pocket, and what if it was your own pocket? For example, the angle grinder. Spare parts, mechanics, reducers, they are all Chinese. The motor and the controller are ours. We are now running tests. Whatever load it is, capacity is not lost. Protection, smooth acceleration, good braking system, a lot of advantages, a lot of perks. You will also vote with your ruble, as they say. The private consumer, big companies can say, I want it, I don't want it, but it is consumers that will vote with their money. And the state, the enterprises, they are all aside. People's project, goods for the people.
Народный проект и товары для народа, в первую очередь.
As of today, our project is abundant with big capacities. A laboratory has been created. It is considered to be one of the best, according to producers of metrological equipment, MacTrol. And thanks to this laboratory, we can now say that yes, this technology is working. It has its place under the sun, and it is better than other technologies. What's the paradigm now? There exist different classes of efficiency, E1, 2, 3, and 4. E4 is the highest energy efficiency. As a rule, if we take an E1 motor, 2 kilowatt for example, and we need to get E4 class, this motor becomes bigger, longer, a whole size bigger. And our technology allows to do the following. You take an E1 class motor and you make an E4 class motor in its casing. You know, they often ask questions. There was a big wave of hate due to the fact that when people start to study something, they start to get deep into something, they find information that there is SOLARGROUP. They are the investor of this project. Not the investor. They raise funds. At the same time, the company is not registered in Russia. It is an offshore company. It is registered in, I don't remember the name of that island, Vanuatu. So it acts under the British law. Why was it done that way? Do we have legislation for such schemes in Russia? No. It doesn't exist. Either you get a license from the central bank and no one will give it to you, or there are no other ways. The law on crowdfunding that was taken in Russia, it was just copied from Obama law. It does not work there, it will not work here. And it is not, even though it was taken. So it is the difficulty of, it is impossibility of it. Impossible to raise funds in this format. In Russia, a system was created that prohibits development. Remember that. They can tell you about any institutions of development, but there is no development, and it won't be there. But once again, to give a clear answer, as far as I understand, if money is raised like that in Russia, you will go to prison. You will go to prison for financial violations. And any investment is viewed as profit. You have to pay tax on it. Yes, in this case, yes. And in offshore, you don't pay tax on it. If it's costs, and we're constructing this building because it is loan money, and we need to give it back. So which profit are you speaking about? It is giving it back. I understand that all this time you have, gathered a lot of such feelings. I have been interrogated many times in all entities, in all authorities, due to your work, right? You are checked many times. We also get compensated in terms of value-added tax. We get some money back. What do you think their attitude to this is? Do you think they easily agree to it? Well, maybe not. They love us. But you were accepted in the special economic zone. Not that easily. Yes, we were taken here. This is the most important thing. It truly is. We've been to Skolkovo. But the time is up this year. 10 years and then you have to leave. We did our schooling there, 10 years. Another question which is often asked. People ask this question, even those who invested like 5 years ago. Why does it take so much time? Where is the product? Why is it not sold? And why did COVID happen? And why did prices for sand grow 6 times and prices for metal? And why did the special military operation take place? And why sanctions? There are many whys. Some time ago, we provided the Technopolis with the updated business plan. A lot of things have changed. And plus, in the business plan, you cannot write getting the permission for construction. And it is relevant. You have to go through all these commissions, the projects. You go through a lot of checks. You will never be able to foresee that. And to your mind, if you have decided to buy some intellectual property, will that be considered as investment? No. It won't be considered as investment money. Only real estate. So it all has its specificity. And maybe you'll have to acquire some of those things, and so on and so forth. So it is set up in a way that makes it impossible. And it's not even a question of how long it takes to fulfill this project. It is being fulfilled. On the other hand, show me another project that has covered this path. Well, I don't know of such projects in Russia. I don't know whether there are such projects in the world. And what was the initial price of the space vehicle launching site Vostochny? And it is still being built, but it is the state. We have a different example, which is nearer, Gazprom Arena. There are many examples like that. It's just that the tempo of construction depends directly on the financing that we get and on investment. If we had more money, then we would be able to have many processes in parallel here, a lot of them. But we have to act accordingly. Now, let's speak about the place we're in. We're on a construction site of the enterprise, Sovelmash, inside the production facility. Inside this giant space, 17,000 square meters, right? Yes, approximately. Something like that. There are people behind us who are working. No, they're going to lunch. Well, there is a movement. Now it's very calm time. It is the most important thing. this place, it's been more than a year since construction started. More than 1.5 years, and you are in the special economic zone Technopolis Moscow or Labushevo, right? And despite the fact that it is the special economic zone, you still had to obtain your construction permit. Absolutely. How much time did it take? A lot. Because we were to go through state commissions. Look, when we had our first money, we started creating pre-project. It is the description of what we want. And then, based on that pre-project, we started to draw our project. We developed it, we went through commissions, many things. This building, you know, we had to calculate what would happen if a plane dropped on it and damaged the structures, what would happen in this case. There were many, many things. It was quite a funny thing. You can imagine what it is. It's the first time that I hear that in the special economic zone, it takes so much time to validate a project. We spoke to Kaliningrad producers. Kaliningrad is an economic zone itself. And it takes a month maximum from signing the contract. Which project are you talking about? Some time ago, Vprocesse. Well, they're smaller. Yes, there are standard projects and standard solutions. And this building is unique. It is different. It is built for the tasks which we'll solve here, and so on and so forth. Plus, you see, if you visited plants that produce electric machines, maybe you heard the noise of presses. But here there is a lot of vibration. We're now on the floor. It is like an aerodrome plate, 6 by 9, cut into fragments. The cushion of sand, 3 meters, multi-layer structure. It is done to assure precision of processing. Yes, some of the equipment has already been bought, it is there. Yes, and in other places as well. Because you cannot put them here. You see, they start bringing partitions, they will now install partitions, they will separate the engineering facilities from others. It is done in such a way, employees who will do servicing of the engineering equipment, they will not get inside the shop floor. They will not even have access. Why? Why so? Different machines are produced for different purposes, and there where there will be development, there will be very strict access. No one will be able to enter it, apart from those who will be actually working there. We're now in the testing laboratory. We spoke about a lot at the beginning, and what can we see here? First of all, we see 3 loading test benches. The middle one, the little one, and the most powerful one, the biggest. They are there for measuring characteristics of the motors being tested. Well, and now it is, well, maybe not a historical moment, it is the first motor wheel in the world. And you can see that now the motor wheel with the aluminum rotor which is being tested, we are measuring its characteristics. And then we will be able to provide you with more details on the results, even though we can see something already, but we will share it with you later. What is interesting about this very motor? This technology of creating motor wells, is the basis of direct-driven lift hoist. Here the pack of plates is 35 mm, and in the lift hoist it will be 60 mm, 90 and 120, depending on modification and capacity that we will need. So to get to the things which are in demand now, we had to show the possibility of creating, of producing the constructive part of the induction motor wheel, which was done. Then we needed to practice the technology of series production, something which we are finishing now, and create the direct-driven lift hoist based on that. We can test it and show it, right? Well, we will not show you the results yet, it is a commercial secret. Until that moment, we will definitely show it to you, but later. This particular product, you know, we will do it in some time. Now we are working on creating series prototype. Alright, now haters have an excuse to write their messages full of hatred. But they have to do their work as well, they need to win their bread. They will write things like, you're not showing anything. Now, where are we actually? Where is Sovelmash now? Because it is in different floors. We are in Leningrad town. It is a scientific institution building. Research and Development Institution of Precise Machine Building. You know it better than myself. I'm well prepared. All the space is leased. We're actually creating a miniature of a Design and Technological Bureau. The Design and Technological Bureau, it is the facility that we're now building in Elabushevo, in the Special Economic Zone Technopolis, Moscow. So everything that you can see here now, it is the process when we're getting ready in advance to commission the Design and Technological Bureau as quickly as possible. Because if this work had not been done, and if we had not spent money on that, then the launch of the Design and Technological Bureau would not have been possible in the time we're speaking about. In this case, the launch would take a couple of years. And we are already working, and as of today, about 54 development works have been launched, which are all carried out in parallel with potential customers. Something on our own initiative, something with the customers. You have been through many checks and verifications. As far as I understand, many tried to find fault with you, what the money spent on construction, as well as salaries and lease. When a check finishes, you can ask, you can learn who organized it, who set it up. I know it. But I will not do it. We will not say that name, because I want to stick to some principles. Alright, let's not dig too deep. The most important thing is that the project has people who don't wish it luck. There are many of them. Yes, what do? They hinder the development. Many think that you can always come upon a company. That's why they set up those checks. One check, a second check, and then the enterprise fails. But those who write it, they don't know what I used to do before. Many tried to find my biography or something. I did not manage to do that either. You will not find it. No one knows what I did before. And do you want to keep this intrigue, or can we unveil it a little bit? I'm just an ordinary person. Well, something tells me that you are not. Nothing has been stolen. And you know what has happened on the site recently? You have changed several contractors, right? A lot of things are happening. You have to be responsible for the money. You take accounts for that. If you work with technologies, you need to understand that without money you won't be able to do anything, of course. And when a big company is working, it is not interested in something which will devour that money. People used to use an abacus. Then Felix machines appeared, mechanical ones, mechanical arithmetic machines. And then calculators appeared, right? And the binary system of calculation 0 and 1 that was accepted in the Soviet Union, I don't know why. Like IBM, you know. And which system did we use? One polar supply and two polar supply. +1, -1, +0, -0. Just one cable was used to pass on 4 bytes. And processes were working differently, and the speed of calculation was different. It was all killed. And if resources had been spent on it, if the money had been spent on it, and then, you know, they said, okay, let's just take that IBM ideology. And if it had not happened, and if somebody had voted like people are voting for the project now, what would have happened? The idea was good, but it was not supported, so it was buried. So even if you have a great idea, if you don't have resources, if you don't have the money, I agree.
Согласен.
This is the shop floor of mechanical treatment, together with the casting one. It is very compact. Why? Because we are very limited in working areas. What can you see here? Workplaces, working benches. A little pressing machine, but the most interesting thing is what we have here. A machine of casting under pressure, in an oxygen-free medium, in vacuum. At the current stage, we pour our short-circuit rotors with aluminium. Here we worked on the technological process of pouring itself, of casting itself. The throughput capacity is quite low. That is why we are now creating a different casting installation that you can see now. It is also an installation of casting under low pressure. It will be the lower pressure. There will be a special mode where casting will be performed. And the melting pot will be something like 60 liters, depending on the tasks to fulfill. We can produce different installations, set them up, and produce any volume that we will need, of course, in the reasonable limits. So, on the territory of all the leased areas, we now mostly improve the technological process to create automatic production. Let's take this. Before, when we produced development models, instead of aluminium, we had copper here. Copper is heavier and it is more expensive. And if we speak about casting of the rotor now, which is made of segment plates, which is also very important, before it was a copper circle, 1, 2 rods that we put here, and they were brazed. So automatic production was something utopian. You could not set it up for it to be profitable as well. That motor wheel would have cost like the nuclear cruiser Aurora. By the way, what about the cost? Of course, now the cost is lower because the processes are improved, but the final cost we will be able to provide it when we set up the line and start producing it. It will depend on... And now you cannot buy your motor wheel. No, you cannot. Somebody wrote in the comments, why do Chinese actively sell them? It is our partner, Viktor Arestev, ASPP Weihai company. Yes, they produce kits and you can buy them without a problem. Alright, together with the controller. Or you can buy the ready-made equipment, a motorbike. Okay, we have it already. So in China, they have already set up serious production. Using your technology, yes. Using the modernization potential, we took a classical Chinese motor, classical material of a stator, a rotor, we applied the combined windings and we'll sell them. But here we speak about a different technology. It's a totally different process, and the results which we will obtain here, they will be ahead of those ones. Lift hoist, part of it. It is disassembled. We're working with it now. It is very new, something which was developed by us. It is casting of the box according to our 3D model, so it is our casing. We ordered casting from another company. Here we see the package of the stator, the rotor. It is also installed there. The pulley that we will buy as well, because we cannot produce all the elements, it is not the right thing to do. Bearings, of course, we will buy them as well. And so we get a great product. The brakes will also be installed. And now the lift hoist is being tested in different ways in the laboratory. And the next stage is testing it as part of the bench scale lift. It is the design department. There is some creative mess here. What do you do here? What is happening here? You make prototypes from scratch, right? Using the 3D printer and small parts as well. Not only small ones, I see some big things there as well. Yeah, speaking of automation of production, it is part of the fittings. From automatic drawing of windings. After the coils are wound on such fittings, the section is transferred here, between these rods, and then the cylinder draws in windings inside the grooves of the motor. So before we have not even a machine but the prototype of a machine, you first do it with a 3D printer. And we have them, right, by 2020, and it can make the process much cheaper. Right, it makes it cheaper and it speeds it up many times. Of course, sometimes we remake parts several times, dozens of times. It is rare, but still it happens. So designing of the machines themselves, it is your task as well. How long have you been working for Sovelmash? For 5 years. Actually, it is quite an interesting story. I was on an electrical trade, and I love cycling. And back then I was studying. My department was electric drives and motors department. So I thought, how can I combine my hobby and my specialty to work and get pleasure in my work? I started to do search on the internet, and then I found Duyunov's motor well. Back then, there was just a group in VK. I entered it and I saw that they were located in Leningrad. And it was time for me to do my internship somewhere. I wrote to Evgeny Duyunov straight away. Is it possible? He said, yes, of course, come here. I did. I worked here for a month. And then they invited me to work here. They said, do you want to work here further? I said, of course I want it. And you did not have any doubt that the technology would be successful, that it would work, that it can be produced in mass. At the beginning, I didn't even think about that. I was really interested in that. I thought, okay, I need to come and have a look with my own eyes, and then I will understand whether it is all real or not. Maybe it is a financial pyramid, as many people say. So I joined the enterprise, and it's been 5 years. I started with, assembling some parts manually, then I worked a couple of years in production, then I became a designer, and then I started to make models. Over these 5 years, the team has had time to grow many specialists, including myself, Sergey, several more people. And of course, it had its impact on the project. We started it from scratch. We covered this way right from the bottom, and over these 5 years, we have become professionals. I have read a lot of information about Sovelmash. There are some positive things, and there are some very negative things due to the approach you are using. Raising funds, crowd investing. Why could you not do it the following way? Take your technology, produce, one type of something based on that technology, a tool or something else, sell it in a necessary quantity or sell it gradually, and thus saturate the company, and then use this money to develop and to build it. Why do you need a lot of money straight away? Why this approach? Speaking of a launch of a very new product, for example, an angle grinder. Of course, the casing can be ordered, just like casting. You can buy ready-made reducers, some other parts. In our case, it is the motor, the drive system. For that, we need to produce a motor. To produce such a motor, we needed to harness the technology of casting aluminum on a short-circuit rotor, and we had to use this equipment for that. Maybe someone has such equipment, and maybe we could come to someone to do it in our place, but it's not that simple. Because if we say that we have casting itself, we also need molds. To make the molds, we have spoiled more than one model that we cast. Globally, as it was a new product, we needed to use the hardware-software complex Maxwell Answers to perform 3D modeling, to obtain results, to create a prototype. Okay, we did that, we produced it. To make packages for the stator and the rotor. If we speak about prototypes, we need laser for that. If we speak about mass production, then it is high-precision laser technologies, which are very few, or it is punching. Punching must be ordered. Punching, for it to pay back, for example, Quantum, 6 punches a second. For that, we need space where to put it. Secondly, we need to buy fittings, which is expensive. For it to be profitable, we need to punch a certain number of these products. Otherwise, it is well beyond profitability. What about just earning money on winding? Winding of the motors which already exist, using this technology. Can you not do it this way? To set up production, to set up a plant, I think that many understand that it costs billions. There is a certain number of motors in Russia. Competitors, right? Something has happened to it. You are a company that just winds them. Okay, they have brought it to you. A motor produced by competitors, you rewind it. Yes, you can earn money for yourself like that. There are licensed winders who use the license to wind the motors, who win bread for their family, but it is not the profit that we really want. If you still have doubts, then I suggest that you find real projects that used this scheme and managed to launch themselves, to develop and to survive in Russia or elsewhere. If we're not speaking about buy it and sell it, not about something which already exists, but about something new, if you find such a project, and if you indicate it in the comments, it will be very interesting for me to have a look at it. The one which was launched by the scheme, yes, well, when people wanted to launch something really new, something innovative, and they found the machines, the capacities, which were already there, and then they did something in their garage, like Apple, right? In their garage, and they were working in IBM, so they could take things from there, by the way. And they did a great job, yes, but it worked in a different way, Yes, so it's very interesting. All right. If you know of such an example, please write it in the comments. from the people who voted with their ruble, with their money. I asked them to ask you several questions. They are our subscribers. Let's have a blitz questionnaire. Which efficiency have you reached in your induction motors? Different efficiencies, it depends. Look, the range of efficiency depends on capacity. But we have reached the E4 class, E4+. Are you planning to produce drives for CNC and motors for unmanned vehicles, quad rotors and electric vehicles? Yes, we have such plans. A platform solution, a direct current motor and an accumulator base to use it in a modular way on different types of equipment. Well, direct current, we are working with induction motors, it is alternating current. But they can be fed with an accumulator battery as well, with a frequency converter. We have our software, we have our developments, our controllers, developed by us, everything is ours. Variable reluctance steppers. No, we don't do that. And you're not planning to. No. By the way, an interesting question. What went wrong with the motor wheels? Why do Chinese produce hundreds of thousands of motor wheels? And they haven't even produced 1,000. To make a motor wheel, you need something to make it on. Some equipment, right? Yes. Production equipment. Yes. What equipment? I don't know what equipment it is. I have not done it. And that person doesn't know it either. For example, the plate of the stator and the rotor. It's thin. 90% of metal, it is just waste. Can you imagine the cost of it? And then we were to make it out of segments. There the waste is about 30%. And then you put it together in the hub, which also requires technologies. When we were making the motor wheel, we brazed it from copper and it worked well. As for the mass product, we need casting and how to perform that casting. To put together one motor, you need about 200 units of fittings. Where to take them? For which money? How? That is why we're constructing this one. When we do it, we will. What's the smallest possible size of a motor using the combined windings technology? Again, it depends on frequency of the current. You know, if we speak about 50 Hz, then lower than 90. If we speak about 600 Hz, you saw small ones, right? Small motors, 1.7 kilowatt, 18,000 revolutions. It's a drive which fits all purposes. So, again, it is very difficult to provide a straightforward answer. Alright, and to sum up, as far as I know, it is the second or the third quarter of next year. Third quarter, it is our plan. The plan, right? If there are no miracles, again. Actually, everything depends on the tempo of fundraising. We can do it more quickly. We are capable of it. Dmitry, thank you very much. Thank you to you. I answered a lot of questions for myself. I looked at it from the inside. What about the main question? Why are we doing it? Look, I'm not a boy. What do I lack in my life? I've had many companies. I had my television studio, cable television, and so on. Many enterprises, plans, were now unveiling what you used to do, right? Yes, what do I need in my life? Why do I do that? You want something that will live after you for a long time. Why? When I die, I won't care. Time will come for me to die. Why do I need it? Then why? I don't know. You are not a religious person, right? Not very religious. And I'm a communist. A Soviet communist. Not like a modern one. If you want something quickly, plant some radish. If you want something for the longer run, plant fruit trees. If you want something forever, bring up children. If you have children, this is something that will be left after you, not the trousers which are worn out. And children, they grow up, you know, students who do their, like, postdoc. We have an employee who is doing her postdoc. It is for them. So it's not us who need it, it is the future generations. It is a law of development. Otherwise, we will just spend, we will exhaust all the resources in the world. However, you take our technology and you recycle. And you make 3 out of 1 without having recourse to more mineral resources. Plus, we reduce energy consumption. It means that we save the nature, the planet, and we only have one. Then I will ask you another question. Are you not afraid that when all of it works, and when people will see the technology, then there will be attempts to take it by force or to stop it? These attempts will continue. Well, Jenny has already left his bottle. Wine is already wined, and they teach this technology in China, unlike Russia. You cannot put it back. Have you read The Master and Margarita? Anushka has already spilled her oil. Nowhere back. There is nowhere back. Only way forward. Thank you very much, Dmitry. Thank you.
Тоже спасибо.
Friends, I hope that we have managed to answer most of the questions that you could have, or that you have. You know, people who heard something about Sovelmash, people who are maybe partners of Sovelmash. By the way, you can answer these questions in the comments. Are you a partner or not? Have you heard anything or not? Those who learned about this project for the first time thanks to our video, and those who saw how it is being implemented, I hope that you also answered many of your questions. If you have new ones, please write them in the comments. I think that we will follow this project, of course. Personally, I answered a lot of questions. Being here, seeing the construction site, seeing the project, meeting some of the employees of the company, talking to them, seeing with my eyes, you know, in many videos. We speak about that and you always feel it. I'm not appealing to you in any way, all of that is up to you. But if you want to take part in the project, if you want to become part of it, to become part of this big project, which is being implemented in the Russian Federation for the first time in such a way, then in the comments and in the pinned comment I will leave the link that you can use to get registered on the platform. And thus you can become a partner or an investor of the project Sovelmash. And together we will observe how it will be developing, and I'm sure that it will be developing. That was the project in the process. Please subscribe, leave a comment. All of it helps promote our videos. And see you soon in the next videos. Bye!